Hello, ma'am. So this is going to be my presentation for the API activity. So here we have the home screen. So here we have an image. So this is a carousel image. So you can just scroll through, and then if you scroll down, you can see introduction and then the about. So it's just extra information. And after that, you can click on Browse Shop. And then when you browse shop, you have this list of items with their image, their price, their name, as well as their ratings. You can just scroll down and see everything, as well as the back home button. Click on that. And then if I click on any one of these, it will take me to the specific details page where we can see the item, the image of the item name, and other stuff like category and description that wasn't listed in the list. Then we can click on back catalog, and then that's pretty much it. So onto the code. So this was just reused from the previous activity. So this app.js is pretty much similar to the previous one. So it just has all the containers. Moving on to home. So the main additions to home is first we have this component, the carousel image. So simply it just takes image. We have this type to typecast or kind of check the type of the parameter, and then we have a image gun. We have this image component with this turner operator just in case if the image doesn't exist, so there can be a placeholder. And then in the main home screen, we have this products. So we have a product list that's empty, and then we have use effect. So this use effect is where we have the API come in. So first we have a fetch projects async. So essentially we are trying to run this piece of code, and if not, there will be this error. And then right here, the res. This is where we get this is where we fetch the API, so the dummy.json products. So as we fetch that, we declare res again, and then we declare it as JSON. So we're basically getting the JSON file, converting to a JSON file. And then now that it's a JSON file, we can actually use that to, we can refer to the products object within that file, and then we can use that to first set products, so we can populate this empty list, and then second, we can actually commit it to the async storage, so we can use it for the other gun, so that we can use it for the other pages. So here we set items, stringify it for JSON, and then we just fetch products. So here we have data. So data here is just it's just this products gone. This products we're using dot map. So we're essentially just iterating through we're iterating through the different items in product, and then we're just taking their thumbnail. So essentially this just creates a list of thumbnails of each different product. The main I would say the main difference here aside from these components is this carousel. So how the carousel works is first we have to import this thing called gesture handler view, root view. So the gesture handler root view is essentially just it's a container. It's like the view is like the regular view component. The only difference is that it also handles gestures, so swipes, taps, long presses, stuff like that. So that's the reason why we can just scroll through this with different swipes compared to something like a card where all it does is highlight. So so this is just for this is just for swiping, and then inside it we have a view and then a carousel, and the carousel just has the different data. So we take the data from here, all the different thumbnails, and then we pass that onto the render item. So we basically just render this carousel image na component. So that's how we get all of these different items with the different settings that are set between both of these components. Okay, so that's it for your homepage. Let's move on to the catalog page. So in catalog, we have first, obviously, use effects. So once it loads, we want to take the information that's set in the async. So since we already passed the information from the API, we can just use that information in the async using the get item. And then, first of all, we have to check. So set products, and if not, then, we can just give an error. And then now that we fetch that data, we can go onto here and then simply just display it. So the way we display it is somewhere around here. So here, flat list, there we go. So the flat list is essentially, it's kind of similar to a view. It's essentially, oh no, it's similar to scroll view. The only difference is that it's a lot more efficient at displaying. Because scroll view, it creates this page where you can scroll through, but the problem is that it has difficulties with larger sets of data, and which is something that the flat list is better at because it's a lot more lazy in the way it renders. So that's why we're using the flat list. And so here we're using kind of like a similar logic to the previous one. We have create structure for the ID, but we also have data. So this the data is just because that it's a no, it's not constant, a variable or like a list that we have declared somewhere here, which is this one right here, the use state. So, which we already set using Kuan, which we set using here, using the set products after we take the items from storage, and then we simply render it using this product, this product item, or no, sorry, this product component. So this product component right here. So the only interesting thing aside from just displaying the information from the past item variable is the fact that it has a set hover and hovered state. So the reason why we want to put this inside the product is because we want each product to have its own hovered state, because if it was outside it, all of them would share it. And the reason why we want to have that is so that we can run this set of logic. So for the card itself, or like this main boundary, we can have a on mouse enter and on mouse leave. So this is sets this hovered variable to either true or false. And then with that, we can just use the style. We can just use the regular styling on regular styling logic. So here we can either have the regular styling, or if hovered is true, then we can set the background color to this instead, so it overrides it. So that's how we have this kind of this on hover effect that we would have in regular CSS or HTML. And then obviously we have the on press that's also tied to the card. So that's why when we click on it, we are taken to this specific detailed screen or product details. So to further explain the reason why we have navigation is because we usually pass this to access the navigation in the app, like this piece of logic there. And so by passing, since this is its own kind of uh, isolated component or function, we want to pass that in so that it will be able to use the navigation functions. And then the last thing to discuss is this. So not only so unlike the wait, where is it? Unlike in home, if you look at our regular button, we have just navigate and then catalog. So just the name of the name here, and then we just take it to that page. But here we have an extra variable, which is product.item. So we're passing a parameter. So so product is equal to item. So the item is simply the product itself. So it's all of the product details or the object itself. And the reason why we want to do that is because if we go to our details, instead of calling the use effect, we instead use the route. So not only are we passing navigation, we're also taking route. So what route does is essentially we take it takes the variables. Basically, the route is like the like when it refers to the what's called that the component, or like the like kind of the component that passes onto it or something similar to that. Basically, like the path that was taken to go to this page. It's kind of similar to like post or get in a way, where you can take information from the source that sent that redirected you here. So simply what we do, since we have this piece of code right here, where is it? uh the thing I mentioned, yeah, this thing, the product item. So we don't have to reference it directly. We can just say route.params because it's already within the route parameter. So we can just say route params, and since we're only passing one parameter, there's really no need to specify. And so that parameter, which is the item, can just be used to equate to the product list object item thing that we're going to use for this one. So by doing that, we can essentially limit the amount of information we load. We can just send in the specific information that we really need to run this just to run this piece of code. As for this, it's just a scroll view with the card, and then we use the specific information that was given to us from the those that we sent through the root to essentially display all of the specific details from the specific product. And everything else is standard. So after the display, we have the button, and then it's just styling. And that's pretty much it for this demonstration.